having the pressure of the entire like race kind of in on my shoulders, whether that was true or not. That's kind of what I put on myself.
I mean, with Matt's season and this whole conversation about diversity in front of the camera and behind the camera, how did you feel filming the show? Did you feel like you were going to be taken care of? Were you uncomfortable? Tayshia has kind of come out and said that she did have like a diversity coach and she saw diversity behind the camera and a difference between Colton's season and her season. So they're definitely making the change from what I understand. But from your perspective, how did that feel like from a show of predominantly white women around you?
Yeah, I mean, that can be really difficult. I'm a half Asian woman, and like for my season, there was 2 Asian people of Asian descent on my season, myself and another girl, and the other girl went home night 1. So I was like, oh, looking around, I am the Asian woman for this season. I will be representing that card. And that is kind of sad. And it puts a lot more pressure on me to not have anything go wrong. And I think because of that, maybe in some ways I could have been more guarded because I just wanted to represent that role well, because I was just having the pressure of the entire like race kind of on my shoulders, whether that was true or not. That's kind of what I put on myself. I definitely think they have done better with casting, but as far as showing those people is still, there's some discrepancies there. I think there's this account called Bachelor Data that shows like how each person is represented in the show, and it's like very skewed as far as that goes. So that's really sad to see. I will say from behind the camera's perspective, definitely better. The production team was definitely needed more diversity to, and I think they're starting to do that now. I just feel like we still have a long way to go in a lot of ways, and I think this franchise is huge and they can really make some good changes from it, but we still have a lot of steps.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a complicated topic, but at the end of the day, I just feel like more diversity behind the camera will help bring more diversity in front of the camera, which will help bring an overall better chance for people of color to shine on the show and give everyone a better chance to find love and diverse love stories and reflect real life. And I think it really does start behind the camera because you need to appeal to all different types of people. Like the same kind of people apply for the show, from what I understand. So it's like a cycle.
Absolutely. And you want to be able to relate to the people that you're working with and all those things. And like even for like a young girl or boy watching the show, they can see like, oh, that person looks like me and they're falling in love, and that means I can have that too. But if you're not seeing that, then it's like there's that discrepancy, and it's really difficult when you think of it in that regard. So yeah, there's always more that can be done. We'll see what happens.
The Chris Harrison of it all. It's been a lot these last couple weeks and months for everyone. Whereas, someone who's been on the show and is, I'm sure, asked this or, feel like you have some sort of responsibility, or it's just a discussion around you all the time. How did you feel watching all of this play out?
Yeah, I mean, from knowing Chris and getting to know him through the process, like I really liked him and I still really like him. It just was very disappointing to see it's so clear that there was this disconnect and some things that needed to change. And I think that some things that had been going on for a long period of time that needed to shift. And I still think that there still needs to be more shifts, because I think this past season was kind of like a Band-Aid put over a bigger issue. And now we need to still continue pushing the envelope. So I'm interested to see how that unfolds. And I also feel like this conversation around Chris and what's going to happen with him is not over. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with the franchise. And I've seen a lot on social media of like very mixed reviews on it. So it's going to come a lot from like how the fans react and how the show is going to react to that. And so, yeah, I don't really know. I just would say like overall, the conversation in itself was disappointing.
I agree. It's going to be really interesting to see, because it is a business. It is a show. It has a long-standing fan base who feel a certain way, but it's also a show that has a responsibility and has a huge impact on pop culture and the world and reflects everything we're seeing in the world. And I can't decide what I think is going to happen with Chris Harrison. I feel like I change my mind every day.
I know. I agree. Like, I hope that he comes back better maybe, and then there's still this dynamic of bringing people back and they kind of just shift how the show is run. I would love that, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we're not making the decisions, but it should be interesting to watch them all. I agree. I think there could definitely be a combo, because it does make sense to me, thinking like, why was there never maybe resources available to the leads? I know they sometimes would bring them in for those like little pep talks, but I feel like after watching JoJo and Tayshia on her season, I mean, I don't know for sure, but that felt very beneficial to me.
Yeah, because you can talk to someone directly who went through it, who went through the emotions, where Chris has seen the emotions, so he can relate onto some level, but it's not personal to him like it has been to the other people. So I think it could be a really interesting conversation.
Rachel and Matt, I mean, obviously it's just really sad for, disappointing for everyone involved, I think. What was your biggest takeaway from after the final rose? Did you feel like they kind of wrapped it up in the best way they possibly could? Was there something else you were looking for as a viewer and as someone who, knows how the franchise works a little bit more?
Yeah, I just felt with watching it, there was just so much sadness from all parties, and it just made me really sad to watch, because I feel like usually after the final rose, it's like, whether they are together or not, there's usually some like happy element to it, and there kind of was with the announcements of the Bachelorette, but like there was just this dark cloud around the whole thing. And I thought that the host did an amazing job. I really loved hearing him talk, and I thought he was very like good at explaining and kind of pulling out all sides of it. So that was really cool and interesting to see. I just felt bad for Matt, and just knowing that like this is your one big shot at this huge role, and you put so much pressure on yourself. I'm sure he did. And just to kind of see it all like fall out like that. And I felt like it may affect the way he approaches love in the future, which is really sad. And I hope it doesn't do that, but I can't see how it's not going to affect him, at least for some time now.
I totally agree. I mean, he's like jokingly tweeting about therapy, probably, go for it, dude. That can only help all of us at any time, let alone he's been through a lot and in front of everyone. And like we said, someone who had never been on the show before. So I think it was just really sad. I totally agree. I think there's people who have opinions, but at the end of the day, it's their relationship. And as of someone looking in, the whole thing just made me sad, and I was ready to move on.
Yeah. I always love a happy ending, and we did not get that this season.